So, what I'm going to start off with is kind of our presentation for Skylanders Trap Team. And we're going to start it with a little bit of what we showed at Reveal, which was our new magic moment where you're able to grab a villain from the game in the digital world and drag them kind of kicking and screaming into our living room through the power of a brand new toy type called the Trap. And what we're going to do is go through that, show you how you can trap an enemy, and then we are going to hop into another level which we have on the show floor for E3. I'm going to take you through a couple of those enemies as well as show you guys something really cool, which is our hub world for the game, which is something that we're only showing to you fine folks and not to the people playing the game on the show floor. So we're going to start with Snapshot here, one of our trap masters.
Rock and roll!
Ooh. And a bit about the story is that our series villain Chaos has returned, and what he wants to do this year is actually lead an army of the most nefarious villains Skylanders has ever seen. And to do that, he's broken out these villains from Cloudcracker Prison. It's a maximum security prison made of an element called Traptanium, and that's what actually keeps these villains at bay. And what he does is his prison break, as subtle as ever, blows up the entire prison, sending pieces of Traptanium to our world, which become the traps, and unleashing these most wanted villains throughout the Skylands. And so it's up to you and our new guest stars, the Trap Masters, to try and track down these villains. And so that's what we're going to do now with an enemy called the Shredknot.
Shred ahead, Drone 2.
So because I'm playing as Snapshot here, who's a Trap Master, he has a Traptanium weapon. And that gives him added damage boost against these most wanted trappable villains. So now that he's stalled, we can take him out.
Shredknot defeated.
Put a tech trap on the portal to trap this villain.
Now what do we do, Troll 2?
Just play it cool, Troll 1, like me.
And so like our Skylanders, our villains are elementally aligned. I have a tech trap, and I can capture them.
This is it, Troll 1.
Remember me as a hero!
It's so cramped in here, I can't even tell which troll I am. You're Troll 1, I think.
Shredknot trapped.
We must now fight for the good guys, Troll 2. Maybe we'll finally be on the winning side for a change.
And so now we've captured the Shredknot. You heard as we were able to grab him from the game in the digital world and bring him to life in our world, in our living room. And now that he's in that trap, he's part of our trap team. And I can take him to my friend's house just as I would a Skylander, where I can use him on their game regardless of what platform it is. But what's really cool is once you've captured evil, they now become good, and you can use them in the game as a playable character.
Ready, set, go!
And so now I'm in control of the Shredknot, a big lumber saw tank driven by two trolls, which I can use to take out all these melee guys coming after me. But what I'd like to show you today is another new level. And so let's switch over real quick. And we're going to show you a level that we have on the show floor at E3 called The Secret Sewers of Supreme Stink. Does everyone got that? And we're going to bring in our other starter pack character. This is Food Fight.
Eat this!
He's an artichoke with a tomato launcher. And before we progress through the level, I'm going to show you some of the villains that I've already trapped to show you a bit of the variety and just the scope of all of the villains that Toys for Bob's created. because they've actually made over 40 unique villains for you to find and trap throughout the adventure. And so from the kind of size and mass of the Shredknot to this air character here, the Buzzerbeak, so you'll see quite a difference.
Buzzerbeak.
And so now we've got Buzzerbeak, a little bird with a propeller hat, which you can use to attack, as well as to fly and slam down. And you can just see, you know, from Shredknot to Buzzerbeak, the difference in size. And it's this huge amount of variety that the team is putting into all of these villains that kids are going to be able to find and trap. And so from Buzzerbeak to now a life character, who's one of my favorites, creates kind of a veggie task force here with Food Fight.
Broccoli guy.
Broccoli guy rolls!
Oh, did the broccoli guy.
This is Broccoli Guy. And what's cool about Broccoli Guy is that he's actually a life mage. So in addition to attacking, he can lay down a healing glyph. And so when you switch back to your Skylander, you'll actually get healed. What's really cool is that Broccoli Guy is a great character to play with in a co-op experience. Laying down a healing glyph in the midst of battle and having your friend get that energy is a great cooperative experience. And now if kids really like, or if parents really like the veggie kind of feel of Food Fight and Broccoli Guy, for kids we've got something a little sweeter.
Hey, Yata.
Who wants candy?
And so this is Pinata. And he's pretty excited just about being a pinata, but also about the fact that he barfs candy. And so he can barf candy to daze enemies, and then once dazed, he can use his sucker to smash them. But what's really cool is that his normal attack is pretty good, but if you barf candy, sometimes they'll have a smaller pinata, which will craft an explosion when hit. And now one of the things that we're doing with all of the villains is put them on a timer. We've made them really strong, but we've limited the amount of time that you can play with them. And so you'll have to wait for them to recharge. If you try and equip them before they're ready, they'll actually tell you through their voice in the portal that they're not ready to go and you should wait for them to recharge. Once they've passed that kind of middle mark though, you can switch back to that villain.
Batter up.
And one of the things you may have noticed is that now that they're on a timer, this actually affords us the ability to give them all theme songs. And so every time you bring in a villain, they have their own musical cue, their own personality, and their own unique set of moves. And it's really fun.
My turn.
And so now we're going to progress through the level, and I'm going to switch to another one of our new characters that we're showing off. This is a new trap master called Jawbreaker. He's a tech robot with traptanium fists.
Down for the count.
So what's cool about him is that he's got these big traptanium fists, which he can use to take out any of these hiding goo chompies. Pretty good, you know, great for attacks, really powerful, but kind of slow. And so what he can do is actually charge himself up to move and attack faster. And so it's all about managing that extra spark of energy to figure out when is the best time to actually boost your skills. As you'll see, it will run out, and he'll have a temporary slowdown effect. But what's really cool is it also augments his moves. And so when I hit this attack, he does a downward slam, but if I'm powered up, he'll actually wipe the floor. Take out some additional goo chompies on the way. And now what we've got here is a wall of goo blocking our way. And you'll see the camera's leading us to this platform. Now if I go over to the platform and kind of walk against these arrows, nothing happens. But if I follow the arrows, like kind of the spigot on a faucet, I'll actually start twisting the platform, causing it to rise, and eventually shutting off the flow of goo. So now we can progress onward and try and enter the sewers. but you'll see there's actually a lock on the door. And so what the team has done is taken the lock puzzles from the previous games and gave them a whole new dimension and completely redesigned them. But what they've done is brought back our favorite little green goblin to help us through the lock. And so before you had to twist the screen so that he'd fall on his path, but now what he has is his own jetpack, because everything's better with a jetpack. But he's not so good at driving it, so what you end up having to do is just moving in a direction and stopping when you hit something. And so what you're going to need to do is figure out a way to bounce around to get to the exit. But what's really cool is that because it's collision-based, when you play in co-op with 2 players, you'll have a second gremlin there, and they can interact with one another, bouncing off one another to create your own solution to the puzzle. And so for this, I'm going to avoid the fire and bounce toward the exit. But then we have this part where any direction I go, there's fire. But there's a water drop right there, which, once we've coated him, will allow him to pass through the fire with ease. And then completing that allows us entrance into the sewers.
Studdert.
That's impossible.
What? Another outsider? We hadn't seen anyone since we locked ourselves away during the great germ outbreak centuries ago. But lately, all these mutant monsters showed up and naturally confirmed our suspicion that the outside world was destroyed. Wait a minute. You may be carrying germs. You're unclean.
And so we're going to enter here into the sewers where I see some additional goo chompies ahead. So I'm going to bring in another most wanted villain that I've trapped. This is an undead villain who is a rock and roll werewolf called Wolfgang.
Wolfgang.
Let's have a rock. Oh!
Hello, Skylanders.
And once again, you'll notice the music change. And so you'll see Wolfgang here has a killer guitar, which you can use to send out projectiles to take out enemies. But my personal favorite attack, you can do an awesome concert-style knee slide straight through chompies.
Okay, I might have overreacted that bit. It's different somehow. In fact, there's something vaguely heroic about you. And you haven't tried to steal our green goo like the other mutants. But you're probably still crawling with germs! Ah!
And so now what we're going to do is take him off here, and we're going to head to the Skylanders Academy, which is our hub world for this year. And the Skylanders Academy is really cool because in between each level, your Skylanders will come here to mix around with all the different characters that you've met along your way. But what's really neat is that when you start, the Academy is very small, but then as you go, it'll build out until it becomes something really big and really cool and really special. And so what we've got at the center of the Academy, I'm actually going to switch to someone who might walk a little bit faster here, which is one of our new Core Skylanders Torch.
Fire it up.
And so at the center of the Academy is the Villain Vault. And so this is where you will go in between levels. Say if you've captured multiple water villains and you only have one water trap, this is where you will go to choose who you want in your water trap in the level. And it's where you'll also go to see kind of the most wanted list of all of the villains left to capture in the game. It'll give you hints to where they are hiding. Then over here we've got Persephone, who you guys might remember from Skylanders Spyro's Adventure and Skylanders Giants. She'll actually do the upgrading for your characters, so you can talk to her, as well as explore her really cool tree house. And what's really neat about this Academy is just the amount of stuff in it. There's a lot of hidden activities, a lot of hidden areas for you to go and explore, and a lot of fun stuff to do. And you can talk to different characters like the skeleton walking by, as well as Callie over here, and Auric, who's manning his shop. But what I want to show you guys is up in the game room. So let's head over there, and we're going to show you a bit of our new card game for Skylanders Trap Team called Skystones Smash.
Your next challenge awaits you, Portal Master. Talk to Flynn.
And this is one of my favorite moments. Just shows you the kind of fun and whimsy that Toys for Odd does like no one else. When you walk into the game room, it's actually got a player piano that when you stand near, the entire soundtrack changes to piano music. Just a fun little bit of a personality moment that's hidden throughout the game as well as the Academy. But if I talk to Dreadbeard here, we can start a round of Skystone Smash.
Bruiser Cruiser.
And so the objective of Skystone Smash is that at the start of every round, you are assigned 3 stones, which you can play on your side to counter the person or the opponent that you're playing against side. And so he's laid down Bruiser Cruiser, who has a 2 attack and 2 health. And so I'd either want to match it or exceed it. So let's lay down my Tussle Sprout here.
Tussle Sprout.
You'll see they attack one another, but I still had health left over. So some of our cards also have additional kind of spells or buffs, and you'll see here with the Chompy Mage, he'll actually give me 2 additional health to my character. And so let's place him down.
Park Boost.
Jumping power!
I'll get my 2 health to my side. And you'll see because no one was guarding against Tussle Sprout, I've lowered my opponent's health to 7. And so that's what we wanted to show you today for Skylanders Trap Team.